What's up, guys? I just wanted to get on here really quickly and talk to you guys for a few minutes before we get into the rest of the video. My reasoning behind this video was never to attack Ollie's Bargain Outlet as a business, as a corporation. I wanted people to see what was going on within the store, this particular store. I don't know how other things happen at other Ollie stores. I just know what was going on within my store. So, and that's what I spoke on. I'm tired of people being picked on and abused by people that are put into positions that don't deserve those positions and don't hold themselves accountable for things. You know, that's my goal, is for these people to be held accountable for their actions. Nobody should ever have to go to work and feel like you're being discriminated against or hated on or mistreated. Like, we live in a country where we don't have to put up with that, you know? And that was one of the reasons why I released this video. Sometimes people are scared to let their voice be heard, and others have to step up and be that voice. And I felt like it was my time to, because I had insight on what was going on in the store, that it was time for me to step up and be a voice for people that were too afraid or felt like they couldn't step up and have their voice heard. A lot of things have happened since the first video was released. I know that they sent somebody in to look at the store. I've been attacked by the store manager's fiance. I have all the proof of that. I don't know why you would do that, knowing that people can screenshot videos and pictures, and you know, I mean, I just don't understand why you would leave a paper trail. Like, you would leave a trail of what you were doing. Like, the next morning when I woke up, that store manager had subscribed to my channel, and I knew that she had watched the video, you know. And then I guess when she found out that company was coming into the store to see the standards of the store, she had an emergency meeting with the whole staff where she talked badly about me in the meeting, which is uncalled for. I also have somebody that was in the inside that told me about that. I was just like, why are you being so dumb and leaving this evidence and speaking this way, knowing that it's going to come back to me? I mean, that's crazy. You're only making yourself look worse and showing people and proving what has been said about you, you know? I mean, it's just crazy to me. But my intentions was never to bash Ollie's as a company. I just wanted eyes to be focused on what was going on inside this store, and for people to be treated like they need to be treated. Okay, so will you repeat what she said?
Everybody go down in the book section and do the books all over again or whatever. So we did the books, and she was like, since somebody wanted to be trifling and expose the store, we got to show them how it's done, like, you know, do the book section all over again.
What's
To start it off, I went for training in a wonderful store in another state and had a wonderful experience up there. It was a very family-orientated store. Everybody helped each other out. It was definitely a company that I wanted to work for because they do promote from within. So after I completed training, I came back home and went in to meet with my CTL, who is Jeremy, and my STL, as well as the SOC team. The SOC team is the store opening team, store opening coordinators. They come in to help us and teach us how to set up our store. Our first night, we'd all met and we had talked. They had showed us where everything was going to be. There was actually still construction going on in the building. The head of the SOC team, who is absolutely an amazing man, took all of us out for dinner, which drinks were involved. I had a few drinks, had a wonderful time. We all pretty much just got our game plan together and pretty much kind of like a meet and greet with everybody. After that, we had all decided to go out. My CTL Jeremy had actually drove us, and we had went out to show some of the SOC team members our town, because it is a college town, and we were all out having a good time. We ended up at a place to, some bar, club, no, I think it was more of a club, to have a couple drinks and shoot pool. I had a great feeling about working for Ollie's. I was very excited to have this job and this opportunity, because I had worked in other retail where the promoting didn't come from within. It always came from with outside, and people didn't really get the positions they had earned or that they were qualified for or even deserved. So during this evening, I had heard my STL, who was our store team leader, which is basically your store manager, make a few racist remarks. She had used the N-word several different times, which was very baffling to me, because the head of the SOC team is African American, and I couldn't understand it. But I kind of chalked it up as to the fact is that she had a few drinks too many and was running off at the mouth quite a bit. So we had started to get the store together. If you don't know what it is to get a store together, it's we go in, we build red steel, build walls, build shelves. We just pretty much go in there and it's an empty store, and within 30 days it's supposed to be a complete store and ready to open. Once again, we were in there about 13 hours a day, everybody. It was, they had a huge turnout for the hiring, which I was told that I would be part of the hiring events. I just never got to go to any of them. So I was kind of meeting everybody for the first time. It was actually pretty interesting. We got to build stuff, do stuff, but I noticed right off the bat, the comment that came out of my STL's mouth is that when we walked in, the head of the SOC team explained to us where our offices would be, because I was an ATL, which is an assistant team leader, which is pretty much an assistant manager. That the office on the left would be mine, and the one on the right would belong to my CTL as well as my STL. And my STL made a comment, well, I don't do paperwork. I don't do any of that stuff. My office is out here on the floor, which once again is confusing, because during training, you find out that a lot of your job is paperwork. Ollie's wants a paper for everything. So right off the bat, she didn't want to do her job. Well, as time progressed and we're all working together, I noticed that she had an anger problem. She liked to throw temper tantrums, liked to throw fits, liked to throw stuff in the store, such as, stuff to build shelves at us or around us or near us, and cussed a lot. It was just not a very comfortable work environment. To be honest, from my personal opinion, it could just be mine. I couldn't understand how she got the job to begin with. She has no people skills. She has no communicational skills. Her organizational skills, that was a joke. Everything fell on my CTL to do, which was Jeremy, and he did his job and did it awesome. I loved working with Jeremy. I communicated mostly with Jeremy or the head of the SOC team, and did not communicate with my STL because you couldn't get any return phone calls, return texts. Just really couldn't get anything out of her. So as the time had progressed, I started noticing that she was really not a person that I wanted to work for. She was extremely racist. She had communicated with me somewhat decently up until that she had seen my fiance pick my car up out in the parking lot. And he is African American, and she proceeded to tell me that there was a black man outside taking my car. like, that is my fiance. It's not a big deal. He has a key. That's when the communication had stopped. Once we were still going into the build, there was a gentleman who came up to me that told me that my STL had wanted him for my position. And he was going to be taking my position, which I don't understand how you can get my position that I was rightfully hired for. My STL ends up getting hurt and ends up with a leg brace on. And went from barely doing anything to doing absolutely nothing, except for screaming and yelling at everybody. And I noticed before she got hurt that she bounced around the store a lot, but she never really actually completed anything. And it pretty much fell on everybody else. She made it one of the most horrible work environments I've ever worked at. And I've worked at some pretty bad places. I worked at a place where, in my town that I live in now, that a bullet had actually come through the store and landed in the floor. And I would rather gone back to work there than work for this woman. It was, like I said, once again, not a good work environment. But the people that I worked with were amazing, starting with my CTO. Awesome guy, great guy, leadership. I couldn't understand why he wasn't my STL. He was extremely qualified for the job, overqualified if you ask me. Communication was, I always communicated with him because he communicated back with all of us, treated us all great. Learned a lot from him, and once again, like I said, the SOC team that came in there was absolutely amazing. And I could tell that the head of the SOC team was trying to get all of us in the STL, the CTL, and the ATL to try to get on board together and work together. And he wasn't understanding that you can't work with somebody who won't communicate with you. You can't work with somebody who doesn't want to work. You know, they just want to run around and scream and yell and throw fits and, you know, pretty much cry when it became convenient for her. I ended up, and let me check the day, because I have the paperwork right here. I ended up on May 25th. I'd actually had to go to the hospital. I had got hurt. I don't know if I actually got hurt on the job, but my knee had become excruciating pain. So I let her know, as well as, I let my CTL know first, because then I ended up going to the hospital. They had given me a doctor's note to stay out of work, with the doctor's note stating that I could not return to work until I seen an orthopedic surgeon. They found some tissue damage around my ankles, and my knee was really swelled. I had communicated that with the head of the SOC team, and he told me, Stephanie, you need to let your STL know. As well as your CTL, I would rather you communicate with your STL. Once again, trying to get everybody to work as a team. He was a team player. He wanted all of us to, this store was supposed to be a success. And that's what the ultimate goal was. When it was all said and done, I had done what he'd asked me to do and just started communicating with my STL, who did not return phone calls, did not return texts, as well as my district manager. You could tell right off the bat he was pretty much useless to communicate with, because my STL could do no wrong. We were pretty much just stuck. So I let her know that I was not able to come back to work. I was on crutches, in a knee brace, and an ankle cast. That I could not come back until I seen an orthopedic surgeon. I had text her the paperwork, showed her the documents, figured everything was fine. I then, when I finally was able to get a hold of the orthopedic surgeon, got a date for my appointment, and had made several attempts to call my STL, never got a return phone call, not once. I tried to contact my district manager, had never got anything back from him as well, and I then found out that she had actually replaced me and sent the person who told me that she wanted him for my job away to be training for my job. I didn't really cause too much of a problem at that time. I didn't really say anything. I kind of figured that I was in a losing situation. because once again, in my district manager's eyes, this woman did no wrong, and there's no point in really fighting and arguing with anybody. In the process of actually talking to my CTL, Jeremy, I was actually still employed for Ollie, so I had heard about an incident with the head of the SOC team, and like I said, lives were told, jobs could have been lost, and once again, the tears come on, and she got no reprimand, no punishment, no nothing. I had just given up. I never went back to work for them. I actually enjoyed working for Ollie's as a company. Like I said, they're a great company to work for. I just had, and I know that by the store that I trained at, they were absolutely amazing people that knew their job. They knew how to talk to people. They trained you the right way. And I was excited thinking that here I have is two people who are two positions ahead of me that could teach me how to be a better, where I could go into being a CTL and then eventually an STL. But I had two amazing people that I thought in my eyes that I could learn from. And it turns out I really only had one. And when you're told to communicate with a person who won't communicate with you, it just turned into a bad experience. Like I said, I had a doctor's note. I didn't have to go back until after seeing an orthopedic surgeon. I still hadn't seen one when I found out that my job was already replaced. And I was told by several people that she had told everybody I had quit, which is absolutely 100% false. I was keeping her updated and informed on my progress and where I was at, and never got any response or anything, but I did what I was told to do. That was back in July. I went for training the end of April, the beginning of May. I have still not to this day been reimbursed from my expenses. And like I said, I have tried several times to contact my district manager to find out. They actually owe me two separate expenses. Both of them are for the same thing, their mileage. They are, let me check, $274.40. They owe me two checks for that, and I never received it. I have personally not been into the store since it opened. I really feel some type of way about what she did and what she was allowed to get away with. I won't even allow my kids to shop in that store. I know several people who won't shop in the store because she's extremely racist. And I heard her make racist remarks one too many times. And being the fact that I do have biracial children, I don't want to work for a person like that. I just thought if I could hang in there, I could eventually work for somebody who actually cared about their job and cared about their position. And it wasn't her. She was supposed to be getting a transfer out. I was actually very excited, couldn't wait for it. But like I said, never happened. She replaced me. And that was my experience at working for Ollie's Bargain Outlet. And that's all.
Hello, my name is Destiny, and my experience at Ollie's was not the best. I experienced being yelled at a lot for no apparent reason. When my store manager asked me to do something, I always did it, but it seemed that she always needed a lot more than she actually did need, and it just went like to the point that she would start running over me, and like I don't think that was fair. I also I witnessed a conflict in the store between the store manager and a previous worker. The store manager, she basically thought that me and another worker wasn't working, and she called us over to where she was and just asked us what were we doing, and we told her that we were helping the front end, and she began to like question us because she thought we weren't doing what we were doing, but we actually were. And so that led to her and the other worker they started arguing because the worker felt like she didn't really, know what she was talking about because we were working, but the store manager was trying to argue back and forth that we weren't working, and so that led to them, the store manager and the worker arguing, and the store manager basically thought that in the argument the worker was threatening her, and so she told her she was going to terminate her and that she no longer worked there, which I felt wasn't fair because she was just trying to explain that she was working, and she ended up terminating the worker, and I don't think that was right. And I just feel like the whole time that I was there, it wasn't much. It was favoritism shown, but it wasn't much respect given. And I know everybody respected her, but she didn't give the same respect in return. So yeah. And my personal experience was, well, I already said it, being yelled at and being ran over. Well, I feel like I was being ran over, and yeah, I wouldn't recommend no one else working there at that specific store with that specific manager.